And we're live. Welcome to the SB Fantasy Football Podcast, where, gosh darn it, we try hard. As always, I'm Alan, and I'm here Saturday Night Live. That's right. We're going to answer start, sit, look at all these injuries, the absurd amount of injuries at quarterback position we have going already right now. We're just in week 3, and the amount of quarterbacks that we've got to maneuver around is just kind of absurd. But also some of these backups, I think we'll be okay with a few of these backups. I don't think we necessarily have to panic or freak out in a few of these situations. Some of the situations I'm not a big fan of, but there's a few of them that I do like. I don't mind Carson Wentz in Washington. Uh, he's got a good offense around him, so I think he'll be okay. I don't mind Marcus Mariota. No, Mariota's in Washington, right? Why am I? I'm just all twisted, turned. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I don't even know anymore. It's been a long day. Um, Wentz is in Minnesota. Mariota, yes. Jones over Flacco, yes. Mr. Michael Lopez, what is going on? I love Danny Dimes this week. They're playing Tennessee, if I'm not, yeah, playing against Tennessee. Yeah, give me Danny Dimes. Flacco, he's playing the Packers. The Packers defense has been pretty good so far this year. So I want to stay away from that matchup 100%. And it's just Danny Dimes has been great. I don't know that he's going to carry this on week after week after week after week, but I definitely love the matchup against the Titans. So give me Danny Dimes against the Titans over Flacco against the Packers. How are we doing tonight, Mr. Lopez? Hope we're doing good. Oh, Mac Jones. Oh, what did Mac do last week? Did he do anything last week? 279 and 3 touchdowns against New Orleans. Um, Arizona is definitely better, but man, yeah, Mac Jones. No, we actually did not. This is our weekend off. We've played the last 3 weekends. We were off this weekend, and we're back at it the next 2 weekends. But yeah, we're actually enjoying a weekend off. Um, I mean, I've still been absurdly busy because everything I've been able to do around the house the last 3 weekends, I get to do this weekend. So, but yeah, no, we no fields this week. Yeah, we'll be back at it next 2 weeks. Yeah, give me Mac Jones over Flacco. Again, that Packers defense has been really good. Um, I think he's going to have problems getting away. Yeah, give me Mac. He looked good last week. Um, Again, really nice matchup last week, right? Playing New Orleans, but Arizona's kind of middle of the road. They're 18th against the pass, so they give up the 18th most points. So, but yeah, let's go Mac Jones. Yeah. That one's a little bit closer, but I think he'll be okay. Um, Again, we're seeing what Kyle Shanahan's made of, and what he can actually do with quarterbacks, right? But a couple quarterbacks that I do like. I like Marcus Mariota this week. I still like Debo Samuel. Someone has asked me Debo or what was the question? Hold on, I gotta look now because I forgot. Activity. Debo or DJ Moore, and I like Debo over DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore might be on his way out the door. Start one, Pabst Blue Ribbon or Miller Lite. PBR old school. We're going PBR. How are we doing tonight, brother? Hope you're doing good. But I think DJ Moore might be working his way out of Chicago. You heard a lot of comments this last week about effort from certain players, while Ben Johnson wasn't naming names. If you go back and you look at the tape, a lot of that kind of points to DJ Moore not blocking, run blocking, things like that, which that's a big proponent of Ben Johnson's offense. That's a big proponent of what they do here in Detroit, right? Everybody run blocks, everybody blocks when the receivers catch it. Everyone's tough. He's not getting that out of the guys there in Chicago, and DJ Moore is one of them. I kind of think DJ Moore might be starting to work his way out of favor there in Chicago. Um, you're hearing a lot of possible trade talks with him going to a few places. We'll see if he does end up getting traded or if he kind of gets in line, right? But I like Debo. I think Washington's fine with Marcus Mariota. If you're in a two QB league, I wouldn't mind starting Marcus Mariota. I think he's going to be all right. He filled in a little bit last year and did just fine. I think he'll be fine this week. Tyrod Taylor, I'm not super excited about in New York with Justin Fields out. But I mean, if you're in a pinch, again, I do like Mariota better. I do like Carson Wentz in Minnesota. All that talent around him, you know, Jefferson, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones is on the IR. So you got Jordan Mason's going to be the RB1 out there for sure. So Jordan Mason is a player that I like to play this week. He's looked good splitting time with Aaron Jones. So let's just see what he can do this week as the number one guy. Hands down, he doesn't really have any competition this week. So I think Jordan Mason should have himself a pretty good game. And I think they'll also look to run the ball a decent amount to take some pressure off of Carson Wentz so that he's not he's not as rushed back there, right? Give him a little bit of time to kind of recover. We talked about Mac Jones a little while ago. I don't mind Mac Jones against Arizona. Looked really good last week. Let's see if he can continue that trend this week. Arizona's defense is all right. You know, they've looked all right, but they've also had two easy games to start the season off, right? They had the Saints and they had Tennessee. Last week, I switched RB to sit out of the three I had, and you were correct. Just giving a shout out. Thanks for that. Hey, no problem, old school. That's what we're here for. I don't even remember who was it? I don't remember who you had asked about, but if you could refresh my mind, I've had a few cervezas and slept a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit since then. But glad it worked out for sure. We're getting into week 3. I think we're really going to start to find out what a lot of these players are about. I think, the tight end position is one of those positions that we're really starting to see who's who out there, right? Trying to get this sorted. I definitely like Tucker Kraft. I think he's been great so far this year. Brock Bowers, of course, Trey McBride. Mark Andrews is in the doghouse for me for sure. I don't know that I'm really looking at starting him. Although historically, Detroit's bad against tight ends. They've been better the last couple of years under Campbell, but historically, tight ends typically tend to do well against Detroit for whatever reason. But we'll see if that trend kind of continues. I'm definitely looking forward to that matchup on Monday night with Detroit and Baltimore. I think that's going to be an awesome game. Hopefully, my Lions can pull that one out. But I think that could be a slugfest for sure. Swift, Tracy, Jonathan Taylor, and ETN. Okay, all right, yeah. I'm still out on Swift. I just don't think he's that good. ETN, I am nervous about kind of going forward. You kind of felt like, especially when they traded away Bigsby, that they were really going to lean heavy on ETN. But last week it was Sean Tootin. And I'm like, that kind of came a little bit out of nowhere because the kid didn't get a ton of work in week one, but he gets a lot of work in week two. ETN's not a player that I've been super high on. Last season I was really down on him, and he kind of proved me right last year. Right, he was very much so TD dependent. If he didn't get a TD, it wasn't worth starting. Right, wasn't getting the yards, wasn't getting the receptions, things like that. I like Jonathan Taylor again this week, going up against the Titans. I think that's a great matchup for Jonathan Taylor this week. The Giants, who are they playing this week? The Chiefs. Man, what's going on with your Chiefs, old school? There's no way they go 0-3. I know the Giants are bad, and I think you almost got to throw last week's game out the window when you're looking at numbers. Like, I'm not starting Russell Wilson. I'm not excited about him. He had an amazing week last week against the Cowboys, but I don't see him duplicating that for sure. He's just not that guy. He's never been that guy to throw for over 400 yards. Um, I don't think that they will. They've got to one. They got to get Xavier Worthy back. They need Xavier Worthy. Not only is he a huge deep threat, but he's just kind of a everything threat, right? Every time he touches the ball, he has the potential to score a touchdown because of his speed, because of what he can do. And not having him definitely hurts. It benefits, Hollywood Brown owners, for sure. Hollywood's kind of the guy. Juju kind of disappeared off the face of the earth last week. Um, but I mean, they need him back for sure. And then, we'll see what happens when they get Rice back in week 7. But man, it's just they're not looking good. Like, I don't get, and it's not on. They are a mess, and it's not on Pat Mahomes. Like, Pat Mahomes is playing good. He just doesn't have the supporting cast. Travis Kelce is just. It's time. It's time, buddy. It's time. Like, you started to build this awesome life outside of football for you. Go explore that. Like, go. Just go. Just go. He last year, going into the season, he admitted he's been distracted the last couple of years with all of his outside endeavors, but he said he was 100% focused this year, and he just doesn't look it. Like, if that pass he didn't catch last week, right? That gets picked off right there by the end zone. That goes in and out of his hands. That drop. I don't know if you saw they've had other angles now this last week that have come out that have been from the end zone view, and it looks even worse. He's not good for the locker room or the field. He's not that guy anymore. Like, he's hit that. It's crazy when a player hits that plateau, and just falls off the face of the earth. Are we liking Hampton over Judkins, Monty or Tootin? Already having to start Swift. Oh, why are we starting Swift? I don't like Swift. I mean, Hampton's let us down so far, right? Hampton just hasn't been great. The Chargers, who they got this week? I don't like the matchup. They're playing the Broncos. Um, I definitely don't like that. I definitely don't like that matchup. Um, the Browns against the Packers. I like Monty. I think Monty's a TD guy. Tootin, who are the Jags got? The Texans. You got a good matchup there. I'm just really nervous still about playing Tootin, just because it's one game, right? Um, First week it was ETN. Last week it was Tootin. We'll see. Were they really willing to trade Bigsby because of Tootin? Um, I mean, it kind of looks like it after last week. and Judkins has been one game, right? I I don't know, man. I like Monty for a TD this week. It's not going to get a ton of yards, but 40, 50 yards and a touchdown, I think. Um, I think Tootin's got some good upside playing the Texans. I don't like the matchups for Hampton or Judkins. Um, the the Bears against the Cowboys. I mean, God bless. We're in a world of hurt right now, Michael, and it's just because we got to let everything work itself out, right? I don't either. Oh, well, we were heavy starting Pachuca, uh, or Puka, London, and BTJ. Yeah, I like them. Judkins looks good. I think I just don't like the matchup. I do like I like Tootin's matchup, right, against the Texans. Um, maybe we got to go Tootin and Judkins. I don't like the matchup for Hampton against the Broncos. That's the thing. I could see a touchdown, but not a lot of yards, kind of like what we've been getting. At a certain point in time, I think the kid's going to bust loose, but I don't know that against the Broncos is the week. Like, I just don't think this is the week. Um, Hopefully, Judkins has another good week. He gets the ball a lot, but again, it is a tough matchup against the Packers. But the way to kind of beat that line is the run. You want to run the ball at Micah, right? Um, so Hampton's the guy that I don't like. I mean, I don't know if I start Swift. I mean, if you're doing three, I might do Judkins, Monty, and Tootin. I just don't like Swift. I just don't. He hasn't shown us much, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah. Would you trade Kyron for GW and Charbonnet right now? Um, what else you got here? Half PPR. Okay. My receivers are Terry, Ladd, Worthy, Golden, Godwin. Need to trade for a wide receiver. I have Barkley, JT, Kyron, JK at RB. Any trades you would make to get a wide receiver with those guys? Um, so they say. Thank you, man. Yeah, big Star Wars guy over here. But let me see here. Here's the problem. I want to say like at a certain point in time, Charbonnet takes over, but then Kenneth Walker just looked great last week. Um, I'm nervous about JK. All right, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when JK gets hurt. Um, so you definitely need to plan for the future. I might stick with Barkley, JT, and Kyron. Um, you're just kind of, I mean, you're kind of hurting right now. You know, you're hoping Worthy comes back soon. Golden's got to do something at some point in time, right? Godwin, I think Godwin's going to be regulated to wide receiver number 3, even when he does come back, because Mbuka's looked so good, and Mike Evans is still there. Um, yeah, I just don't like Swift. He's banged up, might not play as much, and he's not a guy who's going to fight through injuries. He's just not. Um, I think I want to keep Kyron, to be honest with you, because Charbonnet is an unknown. If Kenneth Walker doesn't relinquish that spot, then I mean Charbonnet is nothing, right? And then you're sitting there with Barkley and JT, and then if JK gets hurt, or when JK gets hurt, you're kind of screwed, right? Um, so I think I want to hold on to Kyron. I don't know that I want to. I don't know if that's the guy I want to move. Maybe I try and move JK, right? Um, his stock's actually a little bit high right now. So maybe you can work something for JK to get yourself a receiver. But I mean, you just gotta, with your receiver wise. I mean, I like Terry. I love Ladd. Worthy just needs to get healthy. Godwin, I don't know what we're going to get out of him, especially with Mbuka playing as well as he is. Mbuka might end up as wide receiver number 1 there in Tampa when it's all said and done this year. At a certain point in time, Mike Evans is going to start scoring touchdowns and start catching the ball. But 2 weeks in, we haven't seen it yet. He's been okay, but he hasn't been Mike Evans, right? Matthew Golden is just kind of chilling. I mean, nobody knows what he doesn't even know what he wants to do. Yeah, I might try and trade JK just because he's gonna get hurt, and then when he gets hurt, you're kind of out of luck, right? Especially if you trade away Kyron, you gotta. I think you gotta be able to have 3 really good running backs, and Charbonnet is just an unknown right now. He is, in running backs, what kind of helps bring the world around. I love Mbuka. Kid's great. That's why I went out and he's performing above what I thought he was going to as of right now. Like I thought it would take a few weeks, right? But he has been the number 1 receiver there in Tampa through 2 weeks, 100%. Kid's got 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Baker's not shy about going to him. You know, in week 1, with time expiring, right? The game-winning touchdown goes to him. So to me, that said a lot there in week 1 that he was going to him and not going to Mike Evans, right? Like Mike Evans is that guy that I don't care if he's double covered, you're still going to throw the ball up and you're going to let him do his thing. But he went to Mbuka. So I think that says a lot for Mbuka. That really instills a lot of trust for me in Mbuka, in being able to play him going in and week out, and then make plays specifically for him, and always helps. Yeah, I mean I don't know what we're going to get out of Godwin, honestly. I think Godwin's regulated to a wide receiver number 3. And he's not even the 3rd option. He's just the wide receiver number 3. I think you got the running backs that will be ahead of him in the pecking order as far as receiving is concerned. And does Godwin still got that speed? You know, he's coming off of a big injury. That first year back after those knee injuries is tough. You know, yeah. I'm off to a 2-0 start right now, trying to package JK with one of my receivers right now. I was looking at Myers, JMO, Juwan Jennings, Devontae Smith. I like JMO. Juwan, there's too much going on there. I think with him, with how long's Purdy going to be out? How good is Mac Jones going to be for an entire season? Philly just got to figure something out in the pass game. Right now, they just run the ball. I like Devonta Smith. I think he's a good option, right? If you get him, J-Mo's going to have. He's not going to get you a lot of receptions, but it's going to be the yards, the big plays, the big chunks. If you get extra points for 40-plus yard receptions, J-Mo's definitely going to help you out in that area. Jacoby Myers, let me look and see what he's done so far this year. And I know there's some trouble there with Vegas. I mean, eight catches, 97 yards, 6 for 68. I mean, he's definitely a good through a couple weeks. He's been good. I would lean towards Meyer and JMO out of those 4. And you might at some point in time get a little bit. Myers might end up getting traded at some point in time this year. But I think if he gets traded, it's going to be a team that needs a wide receiver, right? Because of injuries or whatever. But Juwan Jennings, I'm just so unsure on him right now. Just that whole 49ers team, I'm unsure on. The Philly, they just don't pass. They're just not passing the ball. They're just running. But they don't need to pass the ball. They haven't needed to. At some point in time, they're going to have to, but is it going to be Devontae? Is it going to be AJ? When Dallas Goedert comes back, he'd look to be the number 1 wide receiver so far this year. I mean, that was 1 week. But then he was out last week, and then he might be out still this week. 2025 Devontae. Shoot, Devontae had a good week last week on my bench, of course, because he didn't do anything week 1. But yeah, I think look at Myers and look at JMO. Out of those two, I'd stay away from Juwan Jennings. If they counter with a Devontae Smith, I'm not. I like Devontae Smith a little bit better than some of the other guys that you have. He just hasn't done it. I mean, he's definitely been better than Golden, and I think he'll end up being better than Godwin. Worthy, we just need to get him back. Terry, and I like Ladd. Um, Hopefully, Worthy's not out too much longer. The Chiefs need him. The Chiefs have to have him. They're nothing without him. You like JCM over Henderson for sure this week, right? Yes. Especially he's number 1 now. He's number 1. Look for them to run the ball. I really focus on the run some this week with Mariota being in there. While I do like Mariota, and it's not like you're bringing in a backup who has starting experience and has had some success, right? Not great success, but he's had some success. So I like Bill going forward. Um, I think you had offensive coordinator there for Washington. Cliff Kingsbury came out and voiced his support for Bill going forward, being the RB number 1. So yeah, I definitely like the fact that he's getting the endorsement from the offensive coordinator there. They hopefully they learned something last week by not, again, it's a little bit tough to run against the Packers, but you run at Micah, right? Um, Travion, I like Travion, but Ramondre's still there, right? And the Patriots, who they got this week? The Steelers, a tough matchup against that Steelers defense, you know. But yeah, give me Bill over Henderson. And hopefully it doesn't bite me in the ass like he did last week, right? But who knew? He needed more run last week for sure. Yeah, they didn't. They stuck a lot with Eckler last week. I thought too much. Some people are saying it's because Bill can't catch the ball. Well, he's had 1 target each week, each game. He's had 2 total targets for the season. So I don't know how you can say that he can't catch the ball in the backfield if you're not targeting him. And they like Eckler more for Eckler is definitely a receiving running back. He's just older, you know. I'm actually surprised he has gotten as much work as he did in the first 2 weeks, up until the injury. So I think the injury helps make Washington better because it takes Eckler out of the equation in aging running back that I just don't think is that guy anymore. Um, in his heyday, Eckler was great. He was phenomenal, right? But I think that window's past him. I don't know if Eckler plays football again. Like being as old as he is, coming off an Achilles, that's tough. It's really tough. And that first season, like next season, he's not going to be at his best. He's still going to be recovering all season. It'd be the season after that he'd have the rebound. But by that time, he's just so old. I hate it, And maybe he finds his way onto a team, as a veteran, but I don't know that he gets much work. I think fantasy wise, he's kind of irrelevant going forward. I mean, obviously this year, right? He's not coming back. He's not coming back this year with the Achilles at his age, with what he has to do, right, to be a running back. So yeah, I like Bill. Give me JCM for sure. I know I'm starting him in all my leagues this week. I like the matchup. I like that Jane. I mean, obviously, I like it if Jaden's there more, but I think they do focus a little bit more on the run this week that takes some of that pressure off, so that teams can't come in full bore. they can't come in full bore on him this week. So, and then hopefully we only have Jaden out for a week, but we'll see. But I think Mariota is more than capable backup, and I think Washington will be fine with him if they need to run with him for a few weeks. And even if they are running with him for a few weeks, I still like Debo. I still like Scary Terry. Zach Ertz is still a viable option at tight end. TD or bust type thing, right? He's not going to, I don't think he'll get a ton of receptions, but definitely be like a red zone target. I mean, he's 2 weeks in, he's 2 touchdowns, a touchdown each week, not catching a ton of passes, but he's catching them when they count, right? So I still do like that Washington team without Jaden in there, because they do have a capable backup in there in Mariota. So. And I still like the Vikings offensive weapons with JJ McCarthy, not with JJ McCarthy out. Carson Wentz in there. Again, Carson Wentz he's won before, right? Before he blew his knee out, the Super Bowl year when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, he was your MVP before he blew his knee out, right? Was playing great. He just hasn't been the same guy since he blew his knee out. But he's got some good weapons there. This is the last week that Jordan Addison is out. We get Jordan Addison back next week. I like that team even more once they get Jordan Addison back, right? A great wide receiver that comes back, a guy who would be a number 1 wide receiver on a lot of teams in the league. He's number 2 because Justin Jefferson's there, right? But when Jefferson's been out, he's shown that he's more than capable of being the number 1 guy there, carrying that team. So, yeah, I can't wait for him to come back. Jelly of the Month is in the house. What's going on? Both my QBs are out. Need upside QB. Love Mariota, Penix, Browning on the wire, 6-point passing TD, plus 1 point for a rushing first down. Who the Falcons have this week? Got the Panthers. That's definitely some upside there. I think Jordan Love's got some good upside. They're playing the Browns. I'm surprised Jordan Love's out there on the wire. Or you have him. Are those all guys that are out there on the wire? Man. Penix has some good upside this week playing Carolina. But you could also see them going up big and just running Bijan and Algier. Jordan Love has been good so far this year. I'm surprised he's out there on the wire against Cleveland. I mean, 188 yards and a touchdown, 292 or 188 and 2 touchdowns, 292 and 2 touchdowns. Scoring you 20 plus points a week right now. Good matchup against Cleveland. But also you got here's the thing about Jordan Love, and you can just kind of look at this, right? Cleveland, they give up the 11th most points to the quarterbacks. Good matchup this week. And then in week 4, they're playing Dallas, which can't get any pressure on the QB. So I like Jordan Love for like a 2-week fix. I like him against Cleveland. I love him next week against Dallas. I like Browning. The problem with Browning is he's also going to throw some picks, right? But he's got so much talent around him. He's probably going to throw for 300 yards, 3 TDs, 2 picks, right? I think Penix has a good week this week. Again, I like Penix. I like Mariota. But looking at like a 2-week fix, I like Jordan Love. I would probably go Jordan Love, and I'd pick up Browning too. I just like all those weapons that Browning has. They're you've seen they're not scared for him to throw the ball. He's gonna chunk the ball all over the place. Um, who are the Bengals playing this week, by the way? Let's see here. Playing the Vikings. I don't know that I think that's a little bit of and on the road. I think that's a little bit of a tough matchup for this week. But I think I want to go. I definitely want to pick up Love because I like Love for the next 2 weeks. And I'm leaning Browning just because I know he's going to score a bunch of points, but it's also going to come with turnovers, right? And you're looking for someone who's going to be okay. You got both your QBs out. What was Browning's future matchups looking like? Like I said, I don't like Browning this week against Minnesota. Next week, I don't like Detroit, then Green Bay. I mean, come week 7, week 8, week 9, he's got some really good matchups. Penix, I do like the matchup against Carolina, although they give up the least amount of points to quarterbacks, but they are pretty bad. He's got some tough matchups this season. And he's going to be on a bye week the same time that Love is. They're both on a bye the same week. So I think if we go Love and I think we go Browning again, I think Browning's going to throw the ball a lot. I don't know how many weeks we're going to have Mariota. And if you give me an option for this week, Mariota or Love, I'm going to go with Jordan Love over Marcus Mariota this week. I just don't know what the long-term help is going to be for Mariota. But I like Love for the next 2 weeks. Then he's on a bye week. I don't know which quarterbacks you have that are out. So I don't know if there's an option of them coming back here in a couple weeks. But for this week, let's go Jordan Love. And next week, we're going to go Jordan Love against Dallas as well. Because they just don't know how to run the ball or to stop it, anything. I would start Mariota for the fact you get +1 for first downs, and this could be a game where he could possibly get 5 or 6 of them, basically get a free TD. That is nice, right? That is definitely something that is a nice option there. Thanks, KC or Seattle. Okay, I'll get to that. Hold on one second, Chandler. Start Kelce. I'm out on Kelce. I'm out, Chandler. I'm out. I like Juwan Johnson. Rattler's shown to go to him a decent amount. I hate starting 2 Saints and not sure I could stomach benching Kelce. Bench him. He's not that guy anymore. Like, he's just not. His heart's not in it. And right now I'm out on Kelce, especially after that drop last week, where he essentially throws it to the other freaking team. But I'm out on Kelce right now. I don't like Kelce. I love Jawan Jennings, and especially if you're a PPR format, I really like him because I think he's going to catch a decent amount of passes, dump balls from Rattler and things like that. I don't think he's going to get you a ton of yards. And then you've got the upside of, he had a touchdown this last week, right? But yeah, I like Jawan Jennings over Kelce. I get it. You don't want to start 2 Saints, but you got to start Kamara, right? I mean, I'm not sure who else you got. Let's see here. Kansas City or Seattle defense special teams. Let's look. Who Seattle got? Seattle against the Saints. Kansas City against the Giants. What do you say? Even with him playing, yeah, even with him playing the Giants, let me get back to that here in a second, Chandler. I want to lean Seattle on the defense. Give me Seattle. I think you're going to get some picks, maybe some fumbles. Uh, the Saints aren't great. Rattler looked a little bit better last week, but he's still not good. Um, should be able to get some turnovers in that. Um, there's less offensive talent on the Saints versus the Giants. The Giants have some big play guys um, and more offensive talent, and Kansas City's defense has been okay. Um, give me Seattle. Give me that Seattle against New Orleans. I'm almost out, Chandler. I'm just gonna be out. I'm almost out on Kansas City's offense. Um, until they can prove otherwise. And yeah, I know Dallas dropped 50 points on them, but I I think overall as a package, I think Dallas's offense is better than Kansas City's right now, which is absurd to say, right? But Dak's got Pickens, he's got CD. Mahomes doesn't have that. Mahomes doesn't have the targets. He doesn't have the talent to get the ball to. Um, whereas Dak does. Pickens and CD are way better than any receiver on the Kansas City team. Now, Mahomes is better than Dak, a million percent, right? And if you give me a quarterback, I'm going to take Mahomes over Dak anyway. He's a late game flex, and only pivot is Pacheco. I didn't know Jennings was in danger of playing. I missed that. He is questionable. Okay. Practice he worked off. But okay. But if you got to flex the Pacheco, I think you're okay, Jelly. I didn't know about Jen, which I should have known because I have him in like 4 of my leagues. To be honest with you, and I just missed that he missed that shoot. Hopefully he plays, but if you're putting him in there, I like Pacheco as a flex. If that's your option, yeah. If you have that to pivot into, but yeah, no, I'm out on the Kansas City offense right now until they can prove otherwise. Um, they just haven't looked great. There's no one there to help out Mahomes. You know, um, I think they're giving Kareem Hunt the ball way too much. Be honest with you, I think you need to give Pacheco the ball more. So Jelly, is that okay? So hold on. So are you putting Jenny or wait, hold on. I keep doing this, Jelly. I'm sorry. I keep mixing up Juwan Jennings and Juwan Johnson. I mix those two guys up. I don't have Juwan Jennings in any of my leagues. And yeah, I know he's been banged up. Okay, so you're looking at flexing either Juwan Jennings or Pacheco. Sorry, I have been mixing those two guys up this whole season so far. Juwan Jennings and Juwan Johnson. Too many Juwans, and they both have J's for the last name. Okay, so let's go back and let's revisit this. Okay, Jelly. Dude, it's been messing me up all year. And that's why I was shocked when I was like, wait a minute, he's hurt? Because Johnson's fine. Yeah. Juwan Jennings. Okay, let's go back. He's been battling injuries for the last 2 weeks. He was banged up last week. He is going to have some issues. I do like the matchup against Arizona. Who do you have? So here's what I like to do. And again, if I who do you have in the early window that you're benching that's healthy? Do we have someone that maybe in the early window that we would like more than a Juwan Jennings? And we just say, you know what, Jennings, you're not getting it. You're banged up. We don't know if you're going to play or not. Let me go with the guy who's healthy in the early window. Because I always take the guy healthy in the early window over the guy who's banged up who might not play in the late window. Now, if you do have to pivot and go Pacheco, I think especially this week, I think he'll be all right playing the Giants. I think Pacheco has a good game this week. So if you want to wait and see if Jennings is going to play, I would almost play Pacheco over Jennings. Like, I know Pacheco hasn't been great this year, but I do like the matchup. It's got to get better, right? He did have 10 rushes last week for only 22 yards. 5 week 1 for 25. The Giants give up the most points to running backs in the league. Nobody gives up more points to running backs than he does. So that's definitely a plus there. But I'm curious who you have in the early window that we might play over Jennings and Pacheco. But I think you would be okay with a pivot to Pacheco. Again, with the fact that they're playing the Giants this week. If Pacheco doesn't have a good week this week against the Giants, we get rid of him. He did, but maybe Pacheco falls in the end zone. If not, Brashard Smith. Look, yeah, I'm not excited about Algier for sure. That's a guy that Bijan, although I think both guys could get some work this week going up against Carolina. Tillman, tough matchup against the Packers. Yeah, I think we wait and we go Jennings or Pacheco. Because again, here's the thing: like Downs is on the wire. Who you cutting? That's going to be the question. Nice matchup against Tennessee. They could also go up big. He's definitely going to play. He was removed from the injury report. 6 catches last week for 51 yards, 2 for 12 yards in week 1. I mean, probably Tillman, yeah. Give me a second, Johnny. I'll get to you. Let me finish with this thought. I kind of like Downs going forward. I like Downs over Tillman going forward. How about that? I think Danny Dimes is going to have a good season this year. I think part of that success is going to definitely help out Josh Downs. He's been battling an ankle injury. He's looks to be healthy now. They've taken him off of the injury report. So that's definitely a plus for him. But I still think maybe this week we look at Jennings, and if not Jennings, we go Pacheco. And then, I mean, if Pacheco doesn't do anything this week, I think we almost get rid of his. Like, if you can't do anything against the Giants, what are we doing? What are we doing? Johnny, with Jane Daniels out, would you stream Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, or Aaron Rodgers? I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I think he kind of peaked week 1, and I guess the best we're going to get out of him. Just because of how much hate he has in his heart for the Jets. Let's see here. Denver is playing. Who's Denver playing this week? Chargers, that is a tough matchup. I do like Bo Nix. What is going on here? Why won't my thing work? Yeah, give me Bo Nix. There we go. 206 last week with 3 touchdowns, interception, 176 in week 1. I'm not a big fan of the matchup for sure. Pacheco bust is a cut to sabotage another roster. Yeah. Darnold looked pretty decent last week. Seattle has I like Darnold against the Saints. Let me see something here. I mean, the Saints, yeah. Let's go Darnold. Give me Darnold this week out of those 3 options. I'm just not a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. Again, I think he peaked in week 1. I also think it's a little bit. I think it's a tough matchup against the Patriots. Although I think Christian Watson is supposed to be out this week. I think I'm going to go Darnold. I do like Bo Nix. I really do. But it's a tough matchup against the Chargers. I think it is a really tough matchup against the Chargers. I like Darnold's matchup against the Saints. They give up a ton of points to quarterbacks, and I think Darnold kind of settle again. It's 1 week, right? Week 1 he doesn't look that great. He looks pretty good in week 2. Really good matchup this week against the Saints. I think he looks pretty good this week as well. Rodgers, I just don't think he's got it in him, honestly. I think he gave everything he had in week 1. You didn't see much out of him last week. I think that trend kind of continues, and I think at a certain point in time, week 10, Rodgers might be on the bench. Who knows? But streaming this week, give me Sam Darnold this week against the Saints. I just like that matchup. I think it's a good matchup. And they, like I said, they gave up a ton of points to QBs. I look for him to kind of continue that. Cooper Kupp got in on the action last week. JSN looked good so far. Look for them to kind of continue some of that magic this week. And let's go Sam Darnold. I'm going to write that one down. Darnold, Rodgers, Nix. But yeah, give me Sam Darnold. I like the matchup. I think it's a good matchup. Yeah, Pacheco bust, you cut him. If you can't score against the Giants, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I don't know what you're doing. We got any other questions out there, guys? If not, I'm going to run through the games real quick, shoot some predictions out there for this week, and then get out of here. So hopefully we get some dubs this week. Let's take a look. Packers and Browns. Give me the Packers in that one. Although I don't feel great about that, I'm not at the 7.5. I'm staying away from that. This could be a little bit of a trap game. Being a road game, the Browns can surprise you, but give me the Packers. Give me the Colts over the Titans. Give me Danny Dimes to continue doing what he's been doing. Do you like Troy Franklin or Indy wide receivers? I like Indy wide receivers. Can I like both? Are we talking about for this week? Or are we talking about going forward? What are we talking about, Mr. Lopez? We talking about this week or going forward? Because if you're talking about this week, tough matchup against the Chargers. So I like Indy wide receivers this week. over Troy Franklin this week. Because again, Indy's playing Tennessee. So this week, I like them. Rest of the season, I like Michael Pittman more. I think the argument would then be between Troy Franklin and Josh Downs, and who you like more. I definitely like Pittman going forward. Rest of the season, I think he's going to end up being he's going to be a solid RB1, not RB, wide receiver number one. Rest of the season, he's going to be a guy that you're going to plug into your lineup and you're gonna sit him and forget about him. Barring, again, just got to keep an eye on the Danny Dimes situation. If at any point in time Danny Dimes starts slumping, and they go to AR, I'm out. I'm out. But I think Danny Dimes is going to be fine. This is the most talent he's ever played with. Best offensive line he's played with. He's got a great running game, just like he did with that 1 year with Saquon, right? That big year that they had where they went to the playoffs, and they paid him over Saquon, which I think was a mistake, but whatever. Great receivers. I think the question comes down to, do I like Troy Franklin or Josh Downs more? And I think I'm going to lean Troy Franklin, but it's close. And that might change here in the next 2 weeks. How about that? But yeah, I like Pittman over Troy Franklin, and I think Franklin and Downs are close. I'm leaning Franklin right now, and then we'll see. But yeah, rest of the season type thing. Yeah, give me Michael Pittman, and then Troy Franklin, and then Josh Downs in that order. But 2 and 3 are close. They might even be like a 2A, 2B type situation. I could see them almost putting up kind of similar numbers. Maybe a little bit more boom potential with Josh Downs, being that he's a big play guy, right? A speedster, a guy that can, bust open a 40, 50 yard play just like that, right? So he might have a few of those. And if you're in a league where you get extra points for 40 plus yard receptions, you definitely got you could get a little nudge from Josh Downs on that for sure. But yeah, I like Indy. I think Indy makes the playoffs this year. I think Danny Dimes has a great year. I think he's only on a 1-year contract. So he might be playing his way into a decent contract come the end of the season. Just depends on what Indy wants to do with Richardson, right? But if Danny Dimes takes him to the playoffs, how do you not re-sign him, right? As long as you've got the rest of the talent there, you got JT locked up for a little while. Pittman is still got him locked up. Downs locked up. I think they're both still on rookie contracts. Might have to pay them here in the next year or two, but yeah, I like the Colts. I like them this year. Before they announced, I thought when they made the move and got Danny Dimes, I was 100% on board with that, and on board with him going into this season as a viable fantasy option and a guy that is a huge improvement over Anthony Richardson, and definitely help the stock of those Indy wide receivers. And I think Tyler Warren is going to be a nice option at the tight end going forward rest of the season. You've seen some good work out of him so far, and I expect to see that to continue with Daniel Jones there as the QB. So yeah, that's where I'm going to be at on that. Bengals and Vikings. I think this might be the week that the Bengals take a loss. So they'll be 2-1. Give me the Vikings to go 2-1. Chase Brown's got to step up and do something. He's killing me right now. He's a guy that I invested in a lot going into the season. That's a guy that I had as my RB1 going into the season. I need him to do something. And the Bengals need him to do something, especially with a Burrow out. If Chase Brown can't get going, that's going to definitely hurt. That's going to hurt Browning going forward. Um, give me the Patriots over the Steelers. Give me Rams and Eagles. I think that's going to be a really good game. Give me the Eagles over the Rams. Bucks over the Jets. Commanders over the Raiders. Falcons over the Panthers. Give me the Jags over the Texans. Chargers and Broncos, another great game. Give me the Chargers at home. Give me the Seahawks over the Saints. The Cowboys over the Bears. I want to say 49ers over the Cards, but maybe the Cards over the 49ers. This could be a tough game. At home, give me the 49ers. Chiefs finally get a win on the board over the Giants. And then, of course, I'm going to take my Lions over the Ravens. So, but that's going to be it for the night, guys. Now you're talking. Yeah, let's have some fun, man. That's going to be it for the night. I'm going to get out of here. If you got any other start-sit questions, again, I'm going to post a short shortly after this. Free to throw all your questions in, last-minute start-sit things. Let's get those dubs. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. As always, I'm Alan. Deuces.